Hello, this is my presentation on Servant Leadership's service project. Why Warriors at Amazon? Warriors at Amazon is an employee-run organization that aims to highlight veterans, their importance, and the sacrifices they have made are still dealing with. The transition for veterans is something that is drastically overlooked. Most people outside of war don't understand the mentality and survival instincts one has and takes home with them after being deployed. People see unthinkable horrors and are supposed to come back through therapy and expected to be fine. I think it has a great deal to do with veterans carrying firearms in civilian life after returning. Yes, they are concealed, but I'm not talking about just pistols. I'm talking about AR-style rifles, submachine guns, and this is due to their survival instincts still permeating through that individual. The fear of not being safe or in control, whatever environment they're in. Throughout this employee-run organization, I heard that there was a speaker event on the transition of veterans back to the civilian life, which is something I am extremely passionate about. Okay, so the service conducted. On March 28th, I left work early that Saturday to help set up and hand out bags to attendees of the event. Employee-run organizations are particularly funded through the Amazon network. The funding for the speaker event had been drastically cut due to the overall economy and ability to spend. I believe that handing out bags and a t-shirt would help bring more individuals to the event. The contents of the bag were gathered by the organization's representatives and Army veteran Jordan Bank Rowett. In addition, the administrative assistant Elizabeth Rail was supportive in gathering contents for the bags. The t-shirts were not funded directly through Amazon. We did not have funding to print new t-shirts, so we had to improvise. I had donated my work points to get t-shirts for disbursement. Because they were old, they only cost 5 work points. They were just a surplus for the shirts. Their agreement was that the rest would be returned to the site. Throughout the event, I handed out bags while Jordan and Elizabeth worked together to identify sizes and distribute the t-shirts. Overall, 44 bags and 46 t-shirts were dispersed. An example of one of the bags was presented in the slide prior. One thing I would like to note is that we ran out of cups and we had to improvise with candles. And another thing that I want to say that was included was the little envelope that was a handwritten note just as a thank you for letting them come for who attended. And then lastly below, I have time spent, so gathering materials does include making the cards. That's what I put for that one. And then making the gift bags, like assembling the gift bags, is 1.5 hours to 2 hours, and then handing out gift bags was only about 45 minutes to an hour. The longer portion was the t-shirts. If I wanted to get more time or try to fill that box, I would have done that, but I was appropriate with how much time I already assumed. Here are my responses to the Greenleaf quotes or questions. Growing as a person does not mean one must grow as an individual. It can signify growth in the thought towards others or beneficially altering one's outlook. It felt refreshing to serve, and hopefully it inspires others to serve as well, because it can get done across any monetary level. One just needs to start and actually apply themselves to try. Those served grow because they have a better understanding of others. Empathy is a key in spreading love. According to Peter, each of you shall use whatever gift you have received to serve others as different forms of God's grace. They gained from the individual benefit of the understanding of others. This hierarchy good is further inclination to act more like a servant leader. The less fortunate need to be upheld to ensure they are being cared for equally. The less fortunate here are comprised of two groups: the less fortunate attendees, if there are any, and the veterans who endure this experience. Learn to do right and seek justice. Defend the oppressed. The less privileged in society were being tailored to by providing handouts to the attendees of the speaker session with the intent that this notion can be shared and spread further. The incentive was to help lead them to a positive understanding or outlook, primarily through humility. Here are the servant leader skills that were utilized. Building a community. Community grows when people consistently support and encourage one another. Building a community can create a merged sense of belonging for the speaker to feel heard and appreciated. The speaker is merged with the community who are there to hear and pay respect to something they were less insightful of. Stewardship is acting out of integrity and focusing on the hierarchy benefit rather than personal gains. Stewardship of all resources God has entrusted. Self-awareness of there being opportunity to create an impact while also maintaining the awareness of others' needs and goals. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed in return. Empathy is the ability to understand the feelings of others to improve relationships. To be empathetic, one must first be aware of oneself and then others. So here is the beginning of Lewis's notion on the 4 W's. Here is going to be the first 2 W's. Lewis's notion drew similar comparisons to my own experience. The focus is to align with a generous Christian-centered purpose as opposed to just giving. The who. The first W, according to Lewis, the who highlights serving others with dignity and intention. The focus should be on the people and helping people that genuinely need it. Treating people as individuals created in God's image helps prioritize relationships as opposed to transactions. The second W is the what. According to Lewis, Lewis expands philanthropy past money to include all forms of service. What is the act of giving? Not just what one donates, but giving everything one has. Creating this setting supports the act of giving by acting out of compassion. Beginning with the next 2 W's, we have where. Where is the context of the service? The service was done at the Fairfield Civic Center because of all its open availability to the public. Understanding that the impact starts with the beginning rather than the clear end result. The environment is the mission field, according to Lewis 2023. The last W is going to be why. This is, in my opinion, the most important one, especially when compared to Lewis, because he emphasizes that Christian philanthropy begins with the motivation rooted in God. This motivation is the why. It is also the heart-driven reason behind serving. Unable to act similarly here to when Lewis's notion of being driven by God because of its association with Amazon. While acknowledgement is acceptable, displaying something as a source is frowned upon due to its appearance to discourage inclusivity of other religions. Notions were still demonstrated through love and gratitude, while not openly. The act of servant leadership was assisted through the Christian philanthropy's incentivized action. Servant leadership values and beliefs. According to Russell 2001, values are the core beliefs of an individual's psyche, affecting their behavior. Beliefs lead to values, and they relate to the takeaways of servant leadership because they need to be aligned. Additionally, beliefs are values, and values affect moral reasoning based on what is and is not ethical. Since values are perspective-based, they play an important role in the significant decisions because they also impact the leader-follower relationship. Servant leadership values and beliefs thus ultimately affect behavior. Behavioral influence is a result from the values turning to behavior and having further influence on the team. And then here are my references.